A lot of times in business, one of the ways to get bigger is by buying out a smaller business. Now, it happens all the time. It's if you're doing movies, the other guy's doing movies, you get really big, you buy out the other guy because you partly are buying out your competition, and B, you get their customer base. Happens all the time. Not really a big deal in terms of sports, or in terms of life, I'm sorry. But when it happens, people tend to get upset. And they're like, oh, it's the big guy buying out the smaller guy. How's the smaller guy ever supposed to compete? Well, no offense to the smaller guy, but that's just kind of life. If someone has a bigger, better podcast and they want to buy my podcast out and they buy me out, I get compensated for what I had, and then I can't do much. Then it's theirs. Well, in the NBA this year, one team used that business plan and that strategy. I apologize. This is really going to bug me all day about the microphone. The Golden State Warriors at the beginning of the season signed Kevin Durant. Not big news. Obviously not breaking news at the moment. And it's had a couple different reactions throughout the season. People saying the season's ruined. It's a super team. They have 4 of the top 10, 11 players on one team. It's no fair. They're going to blow people out. Like, they ruined the game, bought themselves a championship. All that might be true. But the fact is, they really didn't need Kevin Durant. They simply bought out their competition. If you look at the other teams in the Western Conference this year, the only team that you can say could make a case at beating the Warriors is the Spurs. Well, what if they didn't have Kevin Durant? Then you know who the team that would make a case of beating the Warriors are? The Oklahoma City Thunder. Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, Enes Kanter, the size that they had on that team was built to give a team like Golden State, which is small, problems. Kevin Durant, who knows, maybe this would have been his breakout defensive year, whether it's in the Thunder or the Warriors. That team was the only other team besides the Spurs who, quite frankly, I don't think the Warriors are nervous about. It's Kawhi Leonard and a bunch of older guys, and it's Kawhi in the system. And I think Golden State is confident enough in their system that the Spurs don't scare them. The Thunder did scare them. The Thunder had them down 3-1 in the series last year. The Thunder had a legitimate chance to stop them from even making back-to-back NBA Finals. So what did they do? They went out and they acted as the big business in which they are, and they bought out their competition. Kevin Durant doesn't need to be on the Warriors for the Warriors to win a title. He just can't be on OKC. Because if he was on OKC, the Warriors would be stressing right now. They would think, oh my gosh, how are we going to deal with this? They had us down 3-1 last year, have more size, more experience, another year. Like, that'd be the one team that you would say would give the Warriors a run for their money. Does it ruin it for the rest of the NBA? No, not really, because with free agency, everyone gets to make a pitch, and they technically even make it, better for you to stay with your original team. It is more advantageous for you, the individual, to stay with your original team than to go and form one of these super teams. But obviously, that doesn't happen all the time, and thus you get the super teams. If I sell electronic products and I start to make noise and Apple or Microsoft feels like I'm going to start competing with them and they're just like, they don't want to deal with this down the line, they can buy me out. They buy my customer base, they get my product line, and they get me out of their way. The Warriors bought Kevin Durant's points. They bought his defense, and he's no longer in OKC, and he's no longer in their way.